The Cash Lord.
The Cash Lord!
Please don't go down, y'all. Please dodge this shit.
This is
What?
Oh no, he has 3 MP.
What is it? Whoa! What is it?
Elden Ring Nightreign is a twist on FromSoft's absolute hit of a game, Elden Ring. With RDC already playing through Elden Ring, you already know they had to hop on Nightreign. And if you clicked on this video, I'm assuming you already know what Nightreign is. If you don't, think Elden Ring, but constant boss fighting, extreme time management, different characters with different abilities, a shrinking storm that fucks you in every way possible. Now, before we get into our breakdown, I need to lay down how I'm going to be going about ranking RDC in this video. So if you've watched RDC's Nightreign streams, you know they split up into 2 teams because the game is only 3 players. Team A, Mark, Lee, and Dez, and Team B, Dylan, Ben, and Ippy. There are 8 main bosses in Nightreign, and each team is in a race to see who can beat all 8 the fastest. And in this video, I won't be including the 2 DLC bosses or the upgraded counterparts of the main bosses. If I did, this video would be like 50 minutes long. So I'll be ranking each team against each boss and each individual player and their overall skill as a whole. And finally, before we start the video, before I even started making this video, I had never played Nightreign before in my life ever. So my entire life since I've read this comment and decided to make this video has been revolved around this game. I bought the game, beat all 8 bosses, learned multiple characters, beat all 8 bosses again solo, and watched so many Nightreign videos and guides on YouTube so I could fully expand my knowledge on this game so I can make this video. I'm not gonna make a video about a game I don't know shit about. Now that all of that is out the way, let's finally begin. First, let me start with the Gladius / learning arc. I'm not going to spend too much time on them simply learning the game. Nightreign kind of just throws you into Limfield with a horrible tutorial, so I kind of don't blame them for being terrible then. So let's fast forward to when they have a general understanding of the game and they can actually, you know, make it to day 3. Team A and Team B established their characters they would play for pretty much the rest of the race. Team A has Mark on Wilder, Dez on Iron Eye, and Lee on the Executor. And Team B has Dylan on Wilder and Guardian, but we'll get back to that. Ben on Iron Eye and Ippy on Executor and Wilder a little bit later into the race. But with this first expedition, Team A looked overall better and more promising in my opinion. They were the first team to make it to day 3. They had inside coaching from Tony, who called them and gave them tips. And I feel like Dez and Lee were just better players individually than Ben and Ippy. But despite all of this, Team B did extremely well on their first attempt at this boss. And I immediately noticed that they were a way better team than Team A. Team A had the better Elden Ring players, but Team B was actually fighting like a team rather than just 3 dudes on the same side that just happened to be swinging at the same nigga. And now the boss race has officially begun. And this is when Dylan makes his change over to Guardian. And Mark also makes a change and swaps to Duchess. So on paper, Team A's comp looks way better just off the fact they have a Duchess instead of a damn Guardian. I'm sorry, no offense to Guardian players, but this character is awful, my nigga. But what we have to keep in mind is Guardian's entry to play him is extremely low. It's very simple. You block a lot of attacks while your team does the damage and use your ult to res your team. Duchess isn't a hard character to pick up either, but in Mark's case, she kinda is. Low HP pool, low damage if you don't have the right relics and or weapons. Keep in mind, Mark doesn't know she's a good spellcaster either. And she has an ultimate that's decent if you know how to use it, which unfortunately my nigga Mark and his team does not. First, let me start with Mark. As I just stated, Mark didn't really know how to abuse Duchess to her fullest capabilities, so for the Nightlord fight, he was essentially just handicapping himself in almost every main category for the gain of a better dodge. Restage was practically useless, not because Mark didn't know what it did, but because all of RDC has a problem with holding abilities like rival ults for some reason, and nobody utilized Duchess ult Finale. When you pop a Finale, you become invisible for a period of time and the boss kind of just has to throw out random attacks and guess where you are. So in this ult, you should be trying to res a down teammate or deal as much damage as possible. This group of niggas, because I refuse to call them a team at this point, rarely did any of that. A prime example is here. When Mark pops ult, everyone is invisible. They get some hits in, and the minute Gladius throws an attack, Lee and Dez miss the dodge, and all three of them use the remainder of the ult just walking around the boss. At that point, just use the ult to res instead of offensively. But in Mark's defense, Finale is just an overall not good to decent ult, especially if you don't know all the random ass bullshit you can do with this ult. Mark 100% was the best player on the team and was carrying Dez and Lee in a lot of these day 3 fights. I mean, a good example is when Lee and Dez both went down and Mark clutched up and rezzed them both just for these shitty niggas to die again. Is this nigga serious? Leland, oh brother, where do I begin? This early era was rough for Lee. First of all, Leland has some of the best RNG I've seen, and he always has good weapons 90% of the time, but sucks at simply hitting the boss, because a lot of the time when he should be attacking, he's just walking back and waiting for the next attack. And Leland also has one of the better characters against this boss in general, because you can parry almost any attack Gladius throws out and not get your stamina down to 0 and do some good damage while in your ult. But Leland barely pulls out this damn ability on Executor. So just pick a different character at that point, because just like Mark, you're handicapping yourself by not using your ability. And I never really saw not one good ult from Lee. He mainly used it to res his team, which is fine, but there were times where he could have gotten some good damage out of it, but instead just held it. And on top of all of that, Leland just ran around most of these fights and contributed nothing useful most of the time. Sure, he didn't go down as much as like Dez, but I mean, when you're just spectating the fight and spam dodging every time the boss even glances your direction, you probably won't die that often either. And finally, Dez. Boy, they was on my nigga Dez ass during these fights against Gladius. And honestly, with good reason, because he put on some masterclass sorry performances. So let me start by saying he is definitely the worst player on the team at this time. He gets very easily confused, and he's just awful at dodging attacks long term when he takes aggro on the boss. He also plays so far back with his bow that he is doing little to no damage at all for most of the fight. And for the love of God, Dez, mark the boss. Listen, Iron Eye's mark is one of the stupidest things in this game, and just simply keeping the boss marked constantly tremendously speeds up the process in killing it. So if you're not going to do meaningful damage, which he wasn't, at least enable your team to do the reasonable damage for you with his mark. And I'm gonna just put this here to end Dez's segment off. Never touch Guardian again in your life, my nigga. I had to throw my phone across the room out of pure rage after seeing this clip. Now don't get it twisted, Team B had hella problems even in their winning run against Gladius, but they still did beat it despite all of these flaws. So I have to give credit where credit is due, and I believe a big part in why they won first is simply because they were a team. Dylan always had a plan. Everyone, even Ippy's sorry ass, was given comms, and their morale never really went down throughout each fight. Dylan actually did pretty decent on this horrible character. Ben was actually marking the boss, not as much as he could have, but way more than Dez. And Ippy, well, he's ass, but he knew how to listen and had good communication, so it worked out. I'm not gonna fully break down their problems, but I do want to talk about the main ones right quick. Dylan never used his ult. Even when he could have used it to res way quicker, he just held it. I don't know the reason. Maybe he forgot he had an ult. Ippy just really isn't good at the game. That's the best way I can put it. And just like Dez, Ben stands so far away from the boss so much that his arrows don't do that much damage, but he gets his marks in and is better at dodging attacks than Dez, so he makes up for the lack of damage he's dealing. And a lot of these issues on both teams transfer to the next era we're going into, the gaping jaw pause / sentient pest era.
Pussy ass niggas not fucking with me, shawty. Eating good and I'm flexing a bit body. Got a problem, I tell them come hit body. Keep that fire on my hit, now you sick by it. And all these niggas not fucking with me. On the corner, I'm serving the fiend. PG, bitch, I'm keeping it clean. Tell my mama, you proud of me. Feeling my face, can't tell if it's real. I dropped the perky is spilled. I fuck that pussy real good and I dealt. Like get off the boat, you singing the ship. Bought a new Mac, I'm thinking I'm krill. She blowing my phone, she wanna come here. I show her